Hello, I'm Jeanette Keynes from Jewelry Arts Inc. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a gorgeous hammer down setting. It gives you a beautiful wide rim of metal around the stone, giving the look of like a really heavy bezel, when in fact, it's just the setting technique. So I want to show off this juicy gem silica right here. Look at that fucking color. Love it. Makes me very happy. So what we're going to do is what we call here a hammer down setting. I don't know if that's like the real name, but that's the name that we have given it. So, which is just this. A lot of times, and I get questions about this all the time. People will be like, oh, there's this heavier like edge of gold or silver around the stone. How do you do that? Like, how thick should the bezel be? And I'm like, no, it's the same thickness. It's a 26 gauge bezel. You just set the stone down in the bezel setting lower so that there's more metal that we like hammer around it. And that's what gives you that thickened edge. It's not that you can't use a heavier bezel, but normally there's no reason to use like extra thick metal just to get that edge when it's really just about the height of the stone. So as I'm sure you all know from my many teachings, a normal sort of average cabochon, it's 1/3 of the stone is down in the bezel and 2/3 out. When you're doing a hammer down, although you can vary the proportion, we just reverse it. So normally it's about 2/3 of the stone down in the bezel and 1/3 of the stone sticking out. Now, it's not that it needs to be that exactly, because basically anywhere lower than that, you're gonna end up with a thicker rim of metal, which is, in this case, desirable. And sometimes if you don't want that, then you're mad if you set your stone too low. So that's just what you're thinking about, you know, when you adjust the height. So what we did for this, because, sorry, let me take this out so you can see. We've got this lovely little ring, right? You'll see, with a little curve on the bottom. It's all pretty. Which of course meant like we're gonna need to put a curved inner bezel in there to hold the stone up off the bottom. So we've got our little shiny mylar in the bottom there. And Lori, look what a nice job she did, made a little fine silver inner bezel. And always remember, unless your setting is open, there is just no fucking good reason to put a gold inner bezel in there. It's just like a waste of metal. No one will see it, it makes no difference. So we always use silver, unless it's open, and then you use gold. So we made that to fit in there, down there like this. I'm gonna put it in my engraving bowl and push it down in there. And then we'll pop the stone in. You know, and when we did that curve, just so you know, the way that we do it is, we just find a dowel that's the approximate size of the curve we want and put sandpaper on there and, you know, go back and forth. Very low tech, effective.
If it wasn't a curve, would you still need the inner bezel?
No.
No. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we do an inner bezel to accommodate for the curve.
Right.
Sometimes the cabochon also has a little bit of a curved bottom in the stone itself, and then we do an inner bezel in there. But yeah, that's the only reason we need to do that. Okay. So you see, it's down in there like so. Oh, pretty. I'm gonna pop the stone in. We'll press it in there, make sure it's nice and level, and then we'll start setting. And I always use the dowels to press the stone in. It won't damage the stone because you have to make sure it's down in there and flat. Because a lot of times what people do is they put it in like just with their finger and they press it in. And then they start to set and oh fuck, actually it wasn't at the bottom. So like somewhere in the middle it shifts or it's a little tilted or whatever it is. So just always make sure you take a dowel and like, you don't have to make a dumb face if you don't want to, but you know, make sure it's actually in there all the way to the bottom, right? So what you see there is we have approximately, let's say, 1/3 of it sticking out. We're not worried about like exact measurements. It's just sort of about the proportion. And then the first thing that we're gonna do, oh look, from the Master Tool setting set, the bezel roller. We're just gonna set this right up against here first and get rid of all the space. Then I'll show you, we're gonna go in with the leather mallet and the tool and we'll kind of hammer around and start to like, you know, establish that thin edge. I'm gonna stand up because I'm short. And as I'm sure you all remember, when you're setting, put the setting tool in the palm of your hand with your thumb and your forefinger on either side, like so. You're gonna have your elbow up, like so, because you want the tool basically at a 45-degree angle. If your angle is too low, you end up dislodging the stone. The force travels across, and if you've ever had that happen in the studio, it can travel a very far distance, and you don't want that. Okay, so you see what I mean? I'm gonna put this right here like this. I'm gonna press in, flip it around, do the other side. And you see there's more bezel than you normally have, but that's normal for this kind of procedure. Because I'm gonna keep going until the bezel is absolutely against there, and then I'll show you how to hammer it. Okay, so I'm gonna pause, and I'm gonna hand this over to Lori and let her finish this stage of it and get it all up against the stone, and then we'll come back and we'll hammer, okay? Because that's what it looks like right now. So take a look. You see Lori has like pressed the bezel down pretty much against the stone. I mean, and honestly, you could just do, I mean, we're not going to just do that, but you can just do that if that's, you know, because you see also, just by changing the height, you know, you've got a little more metal. But for a true hammer down, now we're gonna start doing some hammering, unsurprisingly. Now, the thing of it is this, when you're working on a piece like this and you're gonna hammer, normally what I do is I hold my setting tool in my non-dominant hand, which for me is my left hand. And what I do is this. I've got my thumb in front, it's resting against my fingers, and then the end of the tool is sitting, you know, sort of midway through my pinky, like so. Because this way, when I'm moving the tool around, I'm just gonna be pivoting it on my finger like that. Because in other words, if you're trying to like play this like a guitar, you know what I mean, and all your fingers are doing something different, you're gonna have a hard time. This is by far the easiest way to operate it, okay? Now you always have to work like across from yourself or you can't see what's happening. You know what I'm saying? You can't really do this or else who knows what the fuck is happening. So I'm gonna put this right here and I'm positioning the tool right on the top of the bezel. See what I mean? Just like that. And basically, you lean it up enough so that you're not in contact with your stone. Because if you take your tool and you rest it against the stone and you hammer, contraindicated for the life and success and happiness of both your stone and your ring. So you see what I mean? Like so. Tap, tap, tap. And you see what I mean, how I'm resting against my pinky and then I can just pivot it like so. And you notice also, this is not like when you're forging your metal and you're like, you know what I mean? This is like tap, tap, not
Bang, bang.
yeah, exactly. Okay, like so. And you see how I just sort of roll it a little bit, so I'm working a section at a time. Now we are, of course, not done, but take a look and see what starts to happen. You see how the edge starts to thicken. And what's gonna happen is it's gonna start to travel down the stone. It's basically will slip down the side of the stone, which is what you're looking for. It's gonna give you a wider edge, and if you do it enough, you'll also get a little bit of like a, God, what's the word I'm looking for?
Flare.
Mushroom? Yeah, like a mushroom shape, like a little flare at the bottom of the bezel, which is very pretty. Now, the thing of it is though, when you're doing this from the top, you have to keep checking it from the side. Because when you're doing it from the top, you think you're hitting everything evenly, and guess what? You fucking aren't. So, as you go along, you have to look from the side and watch the little mushroomy shape that's forming, and, you know, pay attention. If any spots are higher than the other, work on them more, you know, as you go around. Okay, so I'll do a little bit more, you know, and then we'll do some more, and then we'll come check back in. Because that's the thing, from the top, everything always looks even and beautiful, and then you look from the side and maybe a whole different thing happening. Okay. And you see what I mean? From the side, you can take a look. And for example, you can see right here on the left, I've done more, and it's a little more mushroomy. And over here, I've done less. And it's just, as you're doing it, you have to just keep checking from the side so that you can understand what you're doing and how you're doing it. Okay, so I'm gonna let Lori work on it. For this you can, yes, because when you sit like this, you're using the hammer is basically, you know, giving you all your leverage. You can do it standing up, but you can do it sitting down. I mean, if you're tall enough, people will sit and they can get their elbow up and whatever, but I'm a little vertically challenged, so for me, I usually stand during that part. Okay. Check it out. So this is like a progress shot. You see how it's forming that beautiful thickened edge? So that's the secret of that thick edge. It's not a real thick bezel. And then we're gonna look from the side. I mean, we're not done yet, but like if you take a look from the side, we're gonna work on evening this out more. But you see what happens, right? It gives you that beautiful, I guess it's a mushroom shape. We can't seem to come up with the right word. So what I'm gonna do, for me now, the height looks around correct. So for me, I'm not gonna try to necessarily, you know, get it to go down much more. All I'm gonna concentrate now is evening it out, you know? So I look from the side and I go, okay, this spot right here is lower than this spot right over here, so let me work on that a little bit. And if you find yourself getting like lost and confused, so to speak, you can always mark it with a Sharpie. You know, be like, okay, this spot's low, these are the spots from the top that I want to work on. Yeah, but as eventually you would go so far down that the stone could come out. Like, we're not like, oh no, we're close to that. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you were just like, here I go, and you just kept going and going and going and going, eventually, more than likely, you would reach all the way to the bottom. So you want to leave something in there. Don't get me wrong, it's not easy to do that. You'd have to really be very dedicated to get to that point. But yeah, I look at this and I'm like, it looks great and everything. It's just a matter of let's work on evening it out. Okay? Great. So take a look at this. Look how beautiful it looks. And this is what we were talking about before. Like, this is, we don't want to hammer anymore. If we go down too much further, the stone could come out, and that would obviously be a fucking problem. So we are going to accept our success and polish it up a little bit. If you want a little more of like a raw look, you can absolutely leave it and do nothing, you know what I mean, which looks good too. Usually for me though, I'm gonna use like a Swifty wheel on the top and kind of blend together a little bit. It's not even so much that I need it to be like shiny, but just a little blending. So I'll set that up at the flex shaft. I'll give you a little demo, assuming you want to do a little bit of spiffing. And then that's it. There's nothing left but for Lori to put it on and, you know, show it off to everybody. Fits me too.
It's like the universal.
That's right. Isn't that good? Yeah, very good. That's why it glows and it's so gorgeous.
And she has more.
Yes. No, that's why when I found these in Tucson, like silly when I was like, I mean, we took so many. Like, we were having fits.
What's their hardness?
No, they're not soft.
Huh?
Quartz, baby.
It just sounds like sand.
No.
The silica.
Basically, it is the Rolls Royce of chalcedony.
Okay.
That's why they call it gem silica, because it's considered you know what I'm saying? It's
higher level.
Yes, it's a higher level.
And I love calcium.
Gem quality thing.
Yeah, gem quality. Yeah, but no, I love it. It glow. It's like it's
And against gold and
hot stuff, baby. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the Swifty wheel, and you know the Swifty wheel is in our bezel settings polishing kit because it will not damage your stone. You can hit the stone all you want. Not that I recommend it, but it's not going to take the shine off. It's not going to hurt it. So that's why we use this for cleaning up the top of the bezel, because you don't have to worry about, like, you know, people be like, oh, well, just don't hit the stone. Well, yeah. Don't overeat. Don't drink too much. Don't, you know what I mean?
Right.
Don't have sex with the wrong person. Like, thanks for the advice, but guess what? That's going to happen. You know what I mean? So you always want to use a wheel that will not damage your stone. Okay, so, and you know, whenever you hold the flex shaft like this, put your thumb out, because that way your thumb can either be on the piece or up against your hand. That makes you nice and secure. You know, the biggest way that people go wrong with the flex shaft is that they're like up in the air, you know what I mean? They're like, you know, trying to, you know what I mean? Don't do any of those things. You want to be nice and supported like this. Okay. What I'm really doing primarily, I mean, we can do the whole surface, and we may. I mean, that's kind of up to Lori, depending on how much she wants to do. But for me, primarily, I'm working absolutely right up against the stone to like, you know, get that little, there's always a little bit of a funny little edge in there, you know, that like needs a little bit of love and polishing. So I would concentrate on that first, and then look at it. And you know, I always describe this, when you're using the flex shaft for polishing, it's like peeling a carrot, right? If you want a smooth effect, you can't take this and like doink, 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 because then you're just gonna have little dots. You don't have to make the dumb sound effects, but I find them helpful. You wanna think of it like you pick a section and you stroke it. You see what I mean? Where I go like, boy, that's loud. Where I go top to bottom lightly, because that's what's gonna give you like a nice smooth effect. You, we also call it pecking. Don't peck, you know, where you like take the wheel and you're like.
So if I want the whole thing to be shiny,
yeah,
would I do one section at a time?
Yeah.
Or would I just do the inner?
Well, right now, this is, the edge is like sharper.
Sharp.
So I would start on the inside. As you keep using this, it's gonna get a little more, you know, not so sharp, which will allow you to do the whole thing, you know what I mean? Because basically it's up to Lori, like how much she wants to polish this, it's up to you. But I would first get the area right up against the stone and then we can work on the rest of it, okay? So look how fucking beautiful that looks. Is that not a beautiful thing? So you see, that's the key to making that thickened edge. It isn't a heavier bezel, it's just setting the stone lower in the setting and then hammering it down a bit. And like I said, there's no like exact proportion that they all have to be. You can do it at varying levels, but overall, normally about 2/3 of the stone in and 1/3 out. So that looks just fucking amazing and I love it.